My name is Rob Dixon, and I'm going to tell you how you can abolish your maintenance backlog and allow your applications to grow as you go using ERROS and its patented ERROS connectionist database. In the modern world, you need to be able to change your database structure and applications to accommodate new requirements as soon as they arise, preferably without needing to shut down your applications. Can your systems grow as you go? If they cannot, or if you have a maintenance backlog, then you are not using ERROS, the only application creation system that allows truly incremental development of applications as soon as the need for change is identified. ERROS focuses on incremental application development rather than iterative software development. New entity types, attributes, relationships, and procedures can be added without any program changes. These and the interface definitions are stored in the unique patented ERROS connectionist database rather than in program code. They can be updated at any time by a user with adequate authority. As ERROS applications interpret the definitions, any alterations to these immediately affect the function and look of the ERROS application, even though no programs may have been changed. ERROS incremental application development rarely requires any program coding and generally involves minimal detailed planning for data and applications. No physical database design is required, nor is it possible. ERROS can handle enormous volumes of data and very high numbers of users. The almost 0-second response times for all ERROS applications do not noticeably change as data volumes increase. ERROS applications are not compiled, and the concept of the compiled, rigid, inflexible applications created by software development has gone. Very complex applications with transaction processing and automatic concurrency control can be created without any program coding or program generation. The ERROS Standard Operating Interface, SOI, generates the HTML and JavaScript required for the interface on the fly. As a content management system is not required, all meta and user data changes are instantly accessible over the Internet to users with adequate authority. This all happens at very high speed. When the interface definitions in the database are changed, the ERROS graphical user interface changes immediately. Traditional software development depends upon programming and is an iterative rather than an incremental process. Detailed planning is required before application changes can be made. Traditional applications must be shut down before alterations can be made. Many business applications are based on fixed-length records, whilst the humanities tend to require variable-length records, often with text. Both may require multiple images on screens. SOI handles all these requirements with consummate ease. SOI ensures a consistent, standard approach to interface creation, so that operators do not have to spend time learning how to operate each separate application. SOI is suitable for applications for business and the humanities. Here is a screen from a simple demonstration application that shows a list of Office products. These are fixed-length records. The HTML and JavaScript code for this page was generated on the fly by ERROS. If you wish, you can change the font size whilst your application is live, as I will demonstrate. I click on the Options button, change the font size from 2 to 4, and press Enter. ERROS instantly regenerates the whole screen using a larger font. Further changes to this display can readily be made whilst the application is live. I would like to add borders to the cells. The layout of this screen is defined in the attribute definition record, name and/or number. This is stored in the first level menu for the entity type product in the application stock level adjustment, so I need to change name and or number. I leave this application running and start another ERROS session. I double-click on ERROS Application Creator 2. This was the ERROS application that I used to create the user-defined stock level adjustment application. I access the Presentation Definitions Update screen for the attribute name and or number for the entity type product in the ERROS application stock level adjustment. I change the field HTML borders to Y and then click on Enter. I return to the stock level adjustment screen that I left running. I click on the green initial menu button and ERROS takes me back to the product display. I type asterisk and click on Enter, and ERROS again displays the first 10 products in alphabetic sequence. The cells are now displayed with borders. If I type hash asterisk, the products will be displayed in numeric sequence. This simple improvement was made without shutting down the application. I now wish to change the colors. I click on Operate and then on Browser Defaults 1 and select the second record and then click on the Previous button. ERROS redisplays the product screen with the column headings and alternate rows with a darker background color. The changes that I have just made are not very significant, but they were made without any program coding, without writing any HTML, without shutting down the application. They required no planning. An audit trail records who made the changes and when, to both metadata and user data. A security officer can roll back these changes. In traditional databases, all the data for each person, product, etc. is often held in a single record. In the ERROS Connections database, what users perceive as a single logical record, and which ERROS may present as such, is in fact stored in multiple records, with each attribute value stored separately. Attributes may contain multiple fields. Each row in the table above was built from 2 records. ERROS allows infinitely variable amounts of data to be stored about any entity. The only limitation is the available storage space. There are no null values, and attributes without data do not occupy any space. The characteristics of each attribute are defined in an attribute definition record stored in menus that are also part of the Connectionist database. An attribute definition record is always accessed before ERROS reads the user data in the attribute. These application definitions are interpreted by ERROS and determine the content of screens, the view of the data, the sequence in which the data is to be displayed, where new lines are to be started, the font size, font style and colors, the image size and locations, etc. The attribute definition records also define the security level that operators will require to allow them to read, update, add, delete, i.e. mark as deleted, remove, navigate, etc. records in the attribute. Security can be set at the attribute level. ERROS can concatenate the data from multiple attributes for multiple entity types and display these in the same row. There can be unlimited differing views of the data for all data types. The selection of attributes, their sequence, and the way they are displayed in each application are all defined in the Connections database rather than in program code. These definitions can be altered at any time by updating the database without changing programs. ERROS applications work in all standard browsers. In another browser, I will demonstrate Stipple. Stipple is a major collaborative application for the fine and applied arts created using ERROS. Multiple institutions can share public data whilst retaining control of and access to private, i.e. user-owned data. Entity types can have mixed attributes containing public or private data. ERROS can display banners as shown here. This stipple screen shows the initial display for Borstal Tower, a Grade 1 medieval building in Buckinghamshire, England, built in 1312. This screen could not be more different from the previous one, yet both of these virtual displays were generated on the fly by exactly the same single ERROS program. This may look like a text document, but ERROS has combined the data and images from 53 separate records about Borstal Tower to create this screen. These include stippled text data, interspersed with ERROS connectionist links. These are not hyperlinks. This display shows a modern photo and a 17th century print of the tower, together with a Google map. Interpreting the stippled definitions, ERROS has instructed the browser to display these all at the same height, which is not the same as the height of the stored images. All the blue links and the two images of Borstal are navigable. The Google map works exactly as if it had been accessed from the Google website directly. You can enlarge the scale of the map by clicking on the plus sign. If you wish, you can switch to a satellite image of Borstal within the stipple page. I would now like to look at the stippled print catalogue. I click on the Fast Path button. ERROS shows the first few items in the fast path for stipple. Those with the letter S to the left are synonyms. ERROS allows items to be found using multiple identifiers. I can page down to find the record for the print catalogue that I require, but it is quicker to type print and press or click on enter. ERROS retrieves and displays 6 records. I double-click on print catalogue stipple. ERROS has given me access to the stipple print catalogue. I type ladies and press enter. ERROS displays the first 10 prints, whose title begins with ladies. As you can see, these are variable length records. Once again, the screen is totally different from the previous ones, yet it is generated by the same ERROS program. There is a shortcut, *p/ladies, that would have taken me here in one step. P is in fact a synonym in the fast path for stipple print catalogue. You may not be familiar with 18th century prints, but you might realize that a similar layout could be suitable for an online catalogue of the products that your company sells. I should explain that the prints are the most complex objects of catalogue that I know. In stipple, they have over 200 attributes, many of which may not have any data for plenty of prints. From a cataloging and systems viewpoint, they are far more complex than most commercial products. Most print attributes are repeating, as the same attribute may have multiple values for the same print. Notice that the Rob Dixon collection has impressions of 4 of the prints. Whilst all the other data about each print is public data, the attributes containing the data about impressions are private data, and can only be seen by authorized employees of the Rob Dixon collection. Anyone from another institution would only see their impressions. Where multiple copies of a print are recorded, perhaps held by many institutions, the main data is only stored once. If I double-click on the print generally known as the Ladies' Waldegrave, ERROS will generate the initial display for this print. This has more detail than in the previous display in the list. The short title is replaced with a full long title. The image is larger and is now displayed on the left. The 2 named publication dates for the print are now displayed, together with the names of the publishers. The dates of birth and death, and the brief biographical note for each of the sisters is not stored in the print record, but retrieved from the stipple biographical dictionary. There are 5 other known prints of the sisters. This biographical data is displayed with each of these print records, even though it is only stored once. Once again, this is not a text document. ERROS has combined 60 separate records, including the image and some ERROS text records, into a single display. The images in the records highlighted in blue are all clickable to allow navigation to the related records. These connections are defined in the ERROS connections database, and, as I've already said, they do not use hypertext-style URL links. There's much more data available about this print, which can be seen in subsequent displays if required. If I press Enter, ERROS will display a list of subject headings with further information about the print. These menu records are stored in the connections database and retrieved by the ERROS database handler that retrieve the user data, such as the print data. This 1781 Mezzotint engraving was copied from an oil painting by Sir Joshua Reynolds. If I double-click on Source and other related images, ERROS displays these side by side. ERROS can display any images together for comparison purposes, even if they are stored on separate servers. Here, a copy of the print is compared with Reynolds' original oil painting. This shows that the print is a very accurate, hand-engraved version of the painting, and that the engraver, Valentine Green, was a very skilled draftsman. This is yet another totally different screen layout. ERROS does not use HTML templates to create the necessary HTML and JavaScript, and there's no limit to the range of different screen layouts possible. The layouts are defined in the stipple application definitions, which are stored in the connections database, and which are interpreted by ERROS. If I double-click on the image of the oil and then press Enter, I can see the maximum size image that can fit on my screen. I will go back to the print catalog by typing *P for print, ladies, and clicking on Enter. As before, ERROS displays the first 10 prints whose title begins ladies. Notice that ERROS has ignored the definite article the when sequencing the prints. I have decided that I require the publication dates of the prints to be included in this list. The date of publication is not known for all prints, but some were republished and have more than one date. The publication dates of each print are already stored in the database in the attribute diary. I will make that change now. I will leave Stipple running and change to another session running in a different browser, where I am signed on as an employee of ERROS. I click on Application Definition. This is the application that I use to create ERROS rather than user applications. I then click on ERROS Application. I wish to alter the application stipple 4, so I type that and click on the record for that when ERROS retrieves it. I double-click on Entity Types and Application, and then type stipple print. I double-click on Stipple Print Catalog and access the Initial Display menu. ERROS displays the names of the first 10 attributes in the Initial Display menu. They are displayed in the sequence in which they are displayed in Stipple. I would like Diary to appear after methods of engraving, so I will give it the number 9000 when I add it to the list. I click on Connect. This gives me access to a list of the attributes of the entity type Stipple Print Catalog. I type Diary and click on Enter. ERROS retrieves the attribute definition record for Diary. I double-click on Diary. ERROS shows that it is about to connect Diary to the Initial Display menu for prints. I change the number to 9000. I click on Confirm. The default value for Diary is that the attribute name Diary will not be displayed before the dates. This option can be changed. If I return to Stipple, the display of prints is still there as I left it. I again request prints whose titles begin ladies. ERROS displays the same prints and includes any dates found in the attribute diary. Quite a few of the prints do not have a date, while others have more than one. Notice that the 7th print, Lady Elizabeth Laura, has 2 dates, that ERROS has automatically inserted the word "and" between them. This is an option that can be changed. In time, it is expected that all prints will have images. These thumbnails are perhaps too small, but if they were larger, fewer prints could be accommodated on the screen at one time. I wish to change the way that the prints are displayed. At present, the print entries are displayed in rows. This is defined in the attribute name and/or number or date. This is in the first level menu for the Stipple print catalog. I return to my other browser session, in which I am running Application Development 2, where I have been updating definitions for the Stipple print catalog in the Stipple application definition. I access the presentation definition screen from the attribute name and/or number or date for the Stipple print catalog. I change the value for columns and rows from R for rows to C for columns and press Enter. These attribute definition records are my user data in this application development application. I now go back to Stipple. I re-access the print catalog by typing *p/ladies again and pressing Enter. ERROS now displays the prints in 2 rows, each with 3 columns. Now there are only 6 prints, but I think the entries are easier to view. If I decide that I don't like this layout, I can quickly reverse the change that I've just made, either now or at any time in the future. The user data that I just changed in application development has now become the metadata when I operate Stipple. In the ERROS world, as in the real world, there's little difference between metadata and user data. Now there's room for larger images. I go back to application definition, which I left running. I access the presentation definitions update screen for the attribute digital images main in the initial display menu. The field secondary view is currently set to 7. I change this to 5 and press Enter. I now go back to Stipple, which I left running. I now type ladies. The prints are redisplayed, with the images enlarged from 50 to 100 pixels wide. This is a definite improvement. ERROS has not changed the size of the stored images, but simply sent instructions to the browser to change the size at which they are displayed. This change only applies to print images at this point in Stipple. If you don't like the colors or the font size, these can easily be changed whilst an application is in use, as I have already demonstrated. These changes to the print list screens were very simple to implement. There was no need to shut down the Stipple application whilst the changes were made. ERROS is the only development tool that allows genuine incremental development without design changes, without programming, without shutting down the application, making changes to it, testing it, and then restarting it. In time, no doubt further changes will be required. These may include new attributes that are currently not defined. It will generally be possible to create the definitions for these and include them in the screen definitions without program changes and without shutting down applications. Many different prints have the same title, so each print has been given a unique number. Prints can be retrieved and displayed in number sequence. The first print in the list displayed has the number 6029. If we want to see prints from that number onwards, we type hash greater than sign 6028 or hash greater than sign equal sign 6029, ERROS will display the following screen. The print number is now displayed ahead of its title, whereas in alphabetic sequence the name was first. This option can be changed. The prints can also be accessed in the sequence of publication date. If I type 1771 in the year box, ERROS will retrieve and display in date sequence the first 6 prints published in 1771. The date, which wasn't shown in the previous print lists, is now shown ahead of the title. I can restrict the prints retrieved to a month and year or to a particular date. As I have demonstrated, ERROS can retrieve and display prints in title, number, or date sequence. This is achieved using the indexing capabilities of the connectionist database. ERROS achieves the same very rapid response times for each sequence. Displays like this in a commercial environment would allow you to access customers by name or number, or to look up orders for a particular date for all customers or for a particular customer. 3 of the prints in the screen above are taken from paintings by Sir Joshua Reynolds. I now wish to look him up in the Stipple Biographical Dictionary. If I double-click on his name in any of those prints, Stipple will take me directly to his record. This is the initial display of the biographical record for Sir Joshua Reynolds, first President of the Royal Academy of Art in London. If a link to his name had not been present on the screen, I could have used a shortcut, .b/Reynolds-Joshua/ to go directly to his record in just one step. The full stop or period used in this shortcut takes me straight to the Fast Path menu without using the Fast Path button. B is a synonym in the Fast Path for biography. This is yet another virtual screen layout created by the same ERROS program. Because Stipple data is stored in the ERROS connectionist database, navigating any bidirectional relationship is always instantaneous in either direction. There are no joins and no SQL is required. ERROS can be used to create a wide variety of collaborative applications with transaction processing and automatic concurrency control. ERROS applications can handle enormous volumes of data and images with very large numbers of users and very rapid response times. For a description of the unique ERROS connectionist database, please go to this link. For further details and demonstration videos of ERROS, please go to www.erros.co.uk. You can see how you can use ERROS to create a simple application without any coding, and you can learn how ERROS works. For further details and demonstration videos of Stipple, please go to www.stipple.co.uk. Here you can learn more about Stipple, including how quickly you can catalog a print in a union catalog. ERROS was conceived, created, and patented by Rob Dixon. He used ERROS to create Stipple. Rob Dixon's email address is rob.dixon@erros.co.uk.